he said something that not all projects makes it to execution.
Of course.
So maybe there's been a first phase. Maybe the structure, the design, the architecture of the whole thing has been submitted. She liked it at first. And maybe the design, the colors didn't come out well the way she wanted it. And she discarded it at that point that, oh, I don't like the colors and all. So he felt like, oh, since she said she doesn't want it, there's a pause to it. But the structure has already been registered to maybe the cloud, like you said. So that's where the employer feels like, oh, I still have this thing on my cloud now. This is my design. This is what we wanted to do. So if that's the case, they can still sue, believing that it's my structure. It's the whole architecture behind this whole thing. But if it's totally scrapped, he said discarded. If it was discarded, like he said, like they threw it out, like we don't want this project. If he's making it for another organization, they don't have a right to sue.
Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another episode of the HR Anonymous Show. You know what we do here. We'll bring nice stories as our Anonymous has narrated for me and you to analyze, advise, and do everything we have to do on the story. And also remember that you can send your own story. You can be my next Anonymous by sending your story to hranonymous@thebgshows.com or our WhatsApp line 081 14669924. Any format where you send your message, we would accept it. And also remember, your identity remains anonymous. Before I do plenty shalaye and plenty talk, we'll go to our first story of the day. My own is only one advice. If any drink that you like, your favorite drink, just grab it and sit there. Stay glued with your advice, so because now go advice tire today. I be Christiana. They don't go advice tire.
They go, it sure die 100%.
Let's have the story.
So today the Anonymous is telling us something very, very interesting, and I'm very, very sure that you're going to learn, and we are all going to learn from the Anonymous story. Anonymous is saying, I am a product designer, and as you know now, not all designs will make it to the execution level. I know the design products. I don't know the one where they meet and the one where they meet, but the Anonymous is saying not all of their designs actually make it to the execution level. So the Anonymous used to work in an organization where the boss was involved in the final approval of creative ideas, which of course is expected. So the boss on several occasions will discard some ideas and approve some ideas. While you are watching, viewers, go and check the dictionary meaning for discard. We go reach there. After some time, the Anonymous resigned from the boss and got a new job with another organization, step by step. So at some point, the Anonymous decided to share some of the ideas, from the previous boss has actually discarded with the new MD. This new MD was super excited about these ideas and they immediately approved for execution. Now the idea worked and it improved the brand image of this new organization, but something happened. The previous boss saw the executed project and then called to inform the Anonymous that the initiative was created for our own organization. Now me get am. That's what the previous boss was saying. Now me get this idea. Why you carry am go give another organization? So I have the right to share with them. So the Anonymous does not have the right to share the same idea with the new organization. And Anonymous is saying in his head, but madam, you discarded these ideas now. You talk say you don't want. Why you can't dey talk say I don't get right to share am? Now, this is the problem. Anonymous is telling us that this previous boss is threatening to sue him or sue her for this creation. I mean, something she rejected though. HR Anonymous.
He's shaking his head.
He's shaking his you be like say you won't come out in face cap.
Where are you starting from?
Because firstly, the employer is being very, very, very annoying right now. Yes.
He's giving annoyance.
Wallahi, because
Let me do my hand like this.
because
Okay.
firstly, he's a product designer.
Okay.
He's going to make that design. He's just going to use our own idea.
Okay.
Oh, I want this. I want the rose flower on the table. She doesn't have an idea what the colors will look like and all. he would make that design. And he shows it to her and she's like, oh, we don't need this, take it out. Mind you, if they were going to use it, there would have been proper documentation of that design. Now there was no documentation. I believe there has been other projects he has handled. He didn't mention, but technically there's none.
You're assuming, yeah. It's fine, we can assume.
Because other designs that have been executed, because from what Anonymous staff is saying right now is that she has the final call.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, she has the final call when you bring out designs and stuff. But she rejected this one. That means this was not documented that, oh, this is part of our project. This is things that we do for... If the designs were nice and she wanted it, she can be like, oh, put it on hold. We can have it done later. But she discarded.
Could it be that it's Anonymous that is using his own term, discarded, and it was not discarded that she said? Probably she was referring to, okay, we are going to come back to this particular design later, because I feel as much as we call this intellectual property to some extent, and I think while you're working in an organization, anything that you create and all of that at that moment during your employment process belongs to the organization. Do you understand?
Okay.
Belongs to the organization because you did all of that while you were there. Possibly there was a particular kind of project that came up that actually brought that initiative that made you did something like that or develop that kind of design. So I think it could not, it might be that discard is not what he feels is discard. I don't know if I'm making sense.
I understand.
Like I might just say, okay, let's still pen this or hold on with this for now. But in the mind of the boss, there is a notion that when we get there, when we get to the point where we are going to be needing this thing, we are going to make use of it. Do you understand?
I think that it's the only place that it wouldn't have that it shouldn't be sued or it wouldn't be at fault is if it didn't replicate exactly that design. I'm going to be very, very straight and honest. If you created that and you were employed, you are collecting salary, you have work tools to work and all that. If you created that within the space of that employment for that particular employer, whatever they do with it is their business.
But do you agree with me
It is their property. Hold on, I'm trying to make a point. It is their property. If you tweak it, ideas are like, what do you call them? Flies in the air. Whatever you are thinking of, another person might actually be thinking of it. It is not actually you. But if you replicated whatever design you gave to her here in another place, Omo,
go ahead.
Do you agree that documentation is key to everything in an organization?
Yes.
If this was documented for a later project, there would not be a misunderstanding. But he said discard. That's like taking it off. I don't want this on this project. He kept it as an idea in his head because he's the project the designer of the whole stuff. Now, if he was not good enough, after he has left, she won't keep tabs on him to see that he's doing this at another organization.
She want to wait till they go.
Documentation. I'm going to say something. An employer will not threaten to sue you if they don't have an evidence. If they don't have what you're talking about documented, I don't think that they would have, for somebody to be threatening that they are going to sue you, they have a kind of leverage.
Sometimes I'm going to disagree a bit with that. Sometimes some people they threaten with suing and not because they are on their right sometimes, until they now get to the point that they will now discover they're actually not on their right. Because I must say for a fact, speaking to what Rachel said earlier, I'm not sure the product designer would leave the previous organization, go to the new organization and then do exactly what you did before. Because even if nothing is not going to be different, the fact that it might be different industry, even the logo of the organization alone is already a difference. Do you understand? So that is why I'm not going to see it from the point of he doing something exact and then the boss is now coming to sue. The boss might just be coming up to come and talk about suing because probably she's jealous. Or probably because she's now seeing that this thing that she discarded is now beginning to make sense in another organization and is helping them to improve their brand image. So I think probably that's where the boss is coming from.
Christian, I'm just trying to make this point because of I don't know, like trying to talk to other people, like how do they call it, like a form of advice, so people actually know that whatever it is you created.
Yes, that was the point I started with.
Yes.
That was the point I started
within
with.
an employment actually
Belongs to them. Yes, 100%.
And they have the right to sue you if you use it elsewhere.
100%.
But if it was not properly documented, like he said, discarded. If it was discarded, like he said, like they threw it out. Like we don't want this project. If he's making it for another organization, they don't have a right to sue.
I think that's Pascal's point.
That's
so Pascal's point now is not from the point of who owns it or does not own it. He's talking about una say una no want.
I do not think that it's going to work like that. You know why?
Hey,
Because
Jesus. So if they discard 1,001 ideas,
I'm
you
not
cannot use
saying
it
that.
again.
No, I'm just saying that in the process, that's why we are advising that when you are using it, don't use the exact. Because ideas fly there.
To be on the safer side.
In the instance that you use the same thing, you know, when you work with an organization, you want to turn in your project, whatever, your designs, you are doing it via mail, your boss is receiving it. Sure, you understand. So some organizations even go as far as they have a cloud, like they have a cloud storage.
Yeah.
Where whatever your design is, whatever it
They
is,
have it stored.
the samples that you brought, they are all stored in their cloud storage. So you cannot tell them that there's a documentation issue. They are going to bring it out one way or the other. And you know, organizations can be
The employer might be looking at it at this point that he said something that not all projects makes it to execution.
Of course.
So maybe there's been a first phase. Maybe the structure, the design, the architecture of the whole thing has been submitted. She liked it at first. And maybe the design, the colors didn't come out well the way she wanted it. And she discarded it at that point that, oh, I don't like the colors and all. So he felt like, oh, since she said she doesn't want it, there's a pause to it. But the structure has already been registered to maybe the cloud, like you said. So that's where the employer feels like, oh, I still have this thing on my cloud now. This is my design. This is what we wanted to do. So if that's the case, they can still sue, believing that it's my structure. It's the whole architecture behind this whole thing. But if it's totally scrapped, like we don't want any idea of these things in display.
See,
you know what? Nigerian employees will not tell you that
I think somehow I understand the fact that we are trying to advise the viewers so they be on the safer side, like you're saying. But also, we doing that sometimes might actually have implications on these product designers. We cannot say that. For example, now let's assume that you have about 1,000 designs discarded.
Okay.
So it's actually somehow I don't talk somehow.
Can I put you something to you?
Normal.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. You have a brand, you sell flowers. Okay. She has a brand, she sells flowers.
Okay.
I designed a flower vase for you while under your employment.
Okay.
And you're like, oh, I don't like this flower vase. Take it out. Give me something of clay. And I put it in a, let me say, ceramic vase for you. And you're like, oh, I prefer this. And along the line, I leave your organization and I'm now working for her. That same flower, maybe lily or roses or anything. And I put
flowers. Go ahead.
And I put it in a clay vase for her. And it comes out well for her. And you see that same thing. Mind you, I brought the idea to you first. And you're like, no, I don't like it. If I put it to her, let's say she has store start selling that flower. And you see, oh, most of your clients have that same clay flower and roses in their own houses. Most of your clients. And you know, this is coming from this person. And you carry out your investigation. And you're like, oh, I have this person that was from my team on her team. Would you sue me?
That's what we are trying to discuss. See, I'm not going to lie to you.
Yes.
I'm not going to.
I want you to be very honest.
Sorry, okay. Hold on. Let me clarify something. At this point, it's difficult to claim ownership. I must tell you. Now, if the whatever flowers were actually not discarded, outrightly it belongs to the organization. But because there is something that is confusing, which is discarding it.
Exactly.
So I must tell when discarding comes into the whole situation, claiming ownership by either the employer or the employee is kind of complex.
Do you know why?
Yes.
That's what I think. It's kind of complex. Because I must tell
you don't understand the concept of discarded in this situation.
Discarded generally means that I don't
know. It was scrapped totally.
The employee can be saying that.
Misunderstanding.
Yes, the employee can be saying that this person discarded this thing that they don't want it. The employer might say that I didn't discard it. I think it was not right for me.
Which was what I said.
Yes,
what if?
It was not right for me.
But let's look at it from this part. Okay, Pastor, go ahead.
What if the employer is just angry that this design is now bringing sales to my
That was
competition.
the point. It could come from that.
But what if we are not on the same market? For now, I just gave you flower shop instance. Yeah. What if this
was just
person
something
is not a
else.
flower store? Maybe, let's say an organization that just like flowers, their design, not artworks. And you come and you see it and you're like, oh, this thing is nice. I've had this design before.
Exactly.
You know this person cannot make sales from this thing. Would you react the same way?
I
As
don't
my employer,
think-
you
I
don't think so. So
Yes,
if it's this,
I don't think so.
I think the point we are coming from is not from the point of somebody being right or wrong. It's from the point of you trying to protect yourself.
Yes.
Because regardless of what you think, regardless of what your definition of discarded is, the employer will tell you that this thing was not right for us at that moment. Doesn't mean that
If this
They are
guy
not going to
has
use
his
it.
evidence, trust me, if he has evidences in place,
that there was no
if-
documentation.
if he has an evidence to say outrightly that this boss discarded it, I'm not sure he has a case. I'm not sure the boss has a case, because I must tell for a fact. Let's now take it out from, okay, the employee was actually the one who went here to do this thing. What if an organization does come up to do something that
And
you
it
were
wasn't your
you were
employee?
working on? Nobody even went there to do it. Just like you said, ideas fly in the air. So will you now go there and say, "Now me get this thing, so I
Okay.
want to sue you people"?
We are looking at this thing from one angle.
Yeah,
Let's make a turn.
thank you.
I made a design.
Okay.
You discarded it. I had left your organization. You have a new product designer. And the person stumbled upon my design. And maybe the person finished it. And I see it later. And I'm coming back to tell you that, oh, this is my structure. This is my design. This is my architecture. I'm going to sue you. Would you be happy?
You can't lay claim on it because you did it.
You don't have it
In their organization.
Exactly.
So
You
I
can't
did
lay
it in
claim
their
on it.
organization,
Yes.
and it was what? It was documented.
Yeah.
That is why that person could see my design and my structure.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. If the organization has a documentation to show that, oh, this person claims that we discarded was not discarded, was not scrapped. It was just set aside because he said something that not all designs makes it to execution.
Yeah.
He said it. He emphasized on that.
Yeah.
So if all designs don't make it to execution, there are some that are just pending,
Yeah.
some that are just later things, some different designs, different seasons.
Yes.
So what if the design was for a different season and you felt like, oh, it was scrapped? There
Yeah,
was no,
but
I feel there is no proper communication here because
True.
if there was a proper communication, you know that, oh, I'm scrapping this thing totally. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Only if.
Only-
Only if the boss actually meant it, that he didn't want it,
He
he
didn't
didn't
want
like it,
Take
and
it
then
off.
now
Off
came
my
out of
face.
jealousy to now come and now say, now I want it, now is my own.
I feel like the discard he's saying now is like maybe that design was discarded truly and something was used to replace it. So if it was for a project and something has replaced it already,
So the employee can actually think that they're
Like,
they're
we're
not
not going to use it
anymore.
I don't. I
get
agree
your
that.
point.
I don't agree that the employee would think that they don't want to use it anymore because I think some designs are a base or how do they call it? Some things
Depends on the
or some
project.
campaign or whatever you're thinking. Some
has a
ideas
pattern.
are a base for a lot of things.
Okay.
Sure, you understand. It might not be working for this direction I'm going now. Doesn't mean that it will not work for the
again.
next direction
Direction.
I'm going. That the fact that I told you that, oh, this thing for now, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way, doesn't mean that this thing that I said you should do it this way, I can have something and not think of that thing that, oh, that thing that you did that day, if we use that one for this one, putting this and this and this here, we'll get where we are looking for. I think the issue here is the word discarded. I'm not understanding what discarding or what discarding is not. I think to not be on the safe side, that you really do not understand this thing, the safe thing to play is not to replicate it.
Yeah, I feel from this entire situation, it's just a problem of communication and documentation. I must tell, because I'm still going to go back to the point that if this employee has an evidence to tell that my boss discarded this
Maybe
particular
you see
idea.
picture of them, they throw them inside trash.
Discarded. No.
No, it
It
doesn't
could
have to
be
be
via a kind of email conversation,
conversation.
or there was a document that actually stated that, okay, this particular design
will not
should
work
be
for what we're
replaced by
doing.
this. I wouldn't want this to fly. Something as an evidence. You can stand your feet. You can stand your ground. It's not for the organization. I must tell. If it is actually discarded, truly discarded, and there is an evidence for it. But if you're just the one probably misunderstanding what the employer meant at that point in time, then the safest thing to do is, even if you want to go ahead and do same design, you can just make sure something is different
Minor
and not the
touches.
exact. And I don't even want to think.
so.
And
I don't even want
I
to
don't
think that
think
they are
a-
designers.
I don't think any product designer would replicate totally the same thing to anybody.
I don't think so.
Because if you do that, I feel like maybe you're just doing more of skills and not talent.
And you know something.
Yes.
And you
yes.
know something. Another thing.
Sorry,
worthy of note.
dear, I'm sorry. I want you to just give us a brief of the skills and talent.
Skills. You can take a course online and learn how to be a product designer. You can know what key this is for, what can this do. You can get the color gradients and all perfectly. But somebody that has a talent, when you talk to that person, that, oh, this is what I want, that person already has a perfect picture in his head.
Creativity.
That's talent.
So somebody who actually works with talent and a bit of skills would not do word for word what you do for A and B.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So what I feel, why the former employer kept tabs, I feel this person is talented. Because once you terminate my contract, or once my contract is terminated with you, you don't have to be stalking me to know that I've done this.
Rema.
You
You don't have to be stalking
I
me.
wouldn't say
To
stalking
know-
you. I wouldn't say stalking you. It might be you doing you know, sometimes there are industries and they have competitors. It might be me seeing a product that my competitor launched.
Just like I said on the
And I'm
PowerPoint
like,
thing.
not that I'm stalking you, but I made an investigation and find out that this is the person.
Why are you
behind
making
it.
an
Not
investigation?
that stalk, because
Because
you want
they are
to know where
competitors
this thing
now.
is coming from. Anybody will do it.
That was what I said on the
No,
flower
I
stuff
don't
thing.
think- I-
And that-
So no. What she's trying to say now?
I
now
do
is
not agree
not
that it's
stalking on the
stalking.
individual,
Yes.
right? It's like the
Everybody
organization are not
watches out
stalking
for
on the
their
individual.
competitors. I don't think that is stalking. And I'm going to say
Anyways.
something. I think for every design or for every what do they call it, that whatever designer comes up with, what comes before it is the owner or the particular person actually briefing you
On what they need.
on what they want and what they need. Most times it's always them, how do they call it, spearheading by giving you your raw ideas, their raw ideas actually, what they are thinking, where they are thinking to go to. This product, I want to launch this mug because I'm hoping to solve the problem of stuff. Sure, you understand? It stems from that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to some extent, they can say, okay, maybe this is not working for me. Maybe we'll try it this way. Doesn't mean that you now totally say what you now brought after they gave you a brief of the idea does not belong to
So
them.
that means employers too, or the bosses that they're actually confirming or approving these executions, they should be very, very clear. There's need for clarity. These people are creatives. These people use their intellect to do something. So you should let them understand your stand, not just for you to just say, I'm discarding this thing. They can go elsewhere and want to replicate or want to do something with that thing. But if there is clarity that, okay, this thing would not suit this particular project we are on, however, we'll leave it pending. We are going to come back to it. The person will not go ahead and interpret it as discarding.
Yes,
that point.
I think that manner of approach really matters.
At that point, there's communication and there's proper documentation.
Yeah.
But in a situation whereby you're like, oh, I don't like this design, it can't work for what we're doing, take it off.
That one means you are not interested.
You're not interested. What have you done?
You have discarded it.
Okay, about structures, I believe that on your contract, there are policies in play.
Okay.
That they might tell you that, oh, if you're leaving, I don't think anybody will employ you and tell you when you're leaving, oh, you can take our data from our clouds and go. Nobody will do that. That's you selling yourself out. So I believe if this person is making this same product design for another organization, it has to be on a different terms. Like I said something about skills and talent. If you are skillful, you would make something the same from the previous organization, the same way. But if you're talented, you know what you've designed for this person. No product will stay the same forever. You have to improve it over time.
Yes,
That's how it goes.
Develop
Yeah.
it, yeah.
So I believe at the time that this thing was discarded, it was at a particular state. So if you are in a new organization, you bring something new to the table. For instance, there are different shopping websites now. Somebody
Okay.
designed that thing.
Yeah.
If you look at it, I don't know if we're allowed to call brands. No.
You cannot give free adverts. The brands come and the
Okay,
brands
yeah,
come and
yeah.
negotiate with
Let's
You
say,
can just do it A and B.
okay, let's say A has a shopping website where everybody has different options, electronics, gadgets, home
Cosmetics.
cosmetics and stuff. B sees this design. There's traffic on this website. B modifies it. B has options. But one has easy navigation. The other one is complicated. The first one was made and does not have easy navigation.
Yes.
But I'm making it here and now. I've improved it. It is no longer your structure. Something has changed.
But given this illustration, these are two companies in the same industry.
In the same industry.
So,
yes.
So there will definitely be something
So-
similar.
There's something
Yes, and we
similar.
We don't
There
know
are a lot
what
of
is industry.
similarities. There are a lot of similarities. All you need to do is everybody is looking for a way to make
Something unique.
to ease the
Something
process
unique.
or ease how users
Make
can.
everything
Everybody-
seamless.
Yes.
But in
everybody-
this story, we don't even know if it's same industry or different.
So, exactly.
I think for this, it's a product. I'm trying to design a product. He's a product designer. I'm trying to design a product that I've probably given you a brief about. Even if do you know how bad this thing is? I would even think that you are the one that went ahead to introduce my product to the other and
It might not be.
might not be.
No,
It's just a probability.
I'm just
It's a
saying the person
probability.
might think so. Imagine that we are all making what do they call it, plates and cups and this thing and this thing.
Now, too, don't
So-
use imagine. Finish me for
No, it don't be imagine. This is not the imagine situation.
Let me just
Yeah, I
finish
get.
on this. So I now feel like, okay, why am I making plates? I'm making cup. Let me put together what something that as people are using it as plates,
It will also serve the
it can
purpose
still
of
serve
cups.
the purpose of a cup. Sure, you understand? I now told you to design something for me. You now design something, probably putting the plate on top and putting the cup underneath.
Yeah.
Sure, you understand?
Yes.
At the end of the day, and I said, I think the plate should be on top, the cup should be, or put it side by side or something. I now see the other company launching one of the things you did. I'll think that you use my idea, not just even design my
See,
product.
the
I would
reason
think that
why
you
What
the
if-
reason, the reason
what
I'm not
if-
going to just think like that we're not meant to just jump into such conclusions.
imagination of cup.
Ideas fly in the air, be
True.
here, hey, bro.
What
True.
if-
So what if that staff is not working in that organization? None of your staff is working there, and they do something very similar to your design. Does not mean
I
they do
Wait
think that
now.
will
She
come
said
to
something
you
about.
straight
She
back
said
to
something
the
about
design.
This is
plates.
just it.
She said something about plates.
Yeah.
What if you discarded my designs, believing that my customers are already comfortable with this, and I had already shown you that this can serve as a bowl.
No, that's not it.
Let's
I
get
have the
in now.
idea.
Let's get.
Wait.
Let's,
No, you
let's
don't
get
She
to
doesn't
the
want me
explanation.
to. Wait.
Let's get to the explanation.
She said plates.
Yes.
Like she was trying to look for a solution that it
Yeah.
can serve as a plate and maybe something
Yes,
else.
and a cup,
A
yeah.
cup. So what if you discarded this idea that I gave to you,
No,
saying,
you didn't give me the idea. I gave you the idea.
You
that
gave
I
me
want
the
to do
idea.
something like that.
and
yes.
I brought up a design and I showed it to you, but you're like, my customers are already used to this one we
This
have.
Let's just continue
Let's
with this
just-
and modify this.
Let's just add a little bit of flowers to the cups and the plates, and that's perfect. Now I move on to a new organization.
Your career.
The same thing. Everybody must move forward in life now. No
Of
going back.
course.
I move on there. And now we're not making sales. And I'm like, let's just implement this new design. And we're going to make it more like a 1 liter cup. Mind you, yours was like 5 or 50 ml or something. CL. And I make it 1 liter. I'm not using your design again. I'm not using your design.
It's no more your
It's
design.
no longer your design. It's something different.
Ah.
Mind you, I brought it to you.
I think it is.
You discarded it.
How is it yours?
How is it
No,
yours?
he does not understand my explanation. He's
Please
still going
clarify.
from
No,
the
me, I'm
point-
actually speaking to the illustration
He's
you
still,
gave
go-
me.
he's still,
on his own
he's
illustration.
still illustrating
Please
based on the
clarify.
fact that I just added a little flowers. I came to you with the idea that I'm no longer comfortable with this. I want to do this.
Okay.
Now you are giving me, okay, I'll put the plate on top and put the cup under. Now I'm telling you put the cup under and put the plate on top. Sure, you understand? Something like that.
And
But your first draft didn't make it or something. But the second draft actually worked.
So
Now
the
you are
first draft
saying that-
is still yours?
Yes.
Okay,
now you are
because-
saying
because
that
you
if you
said-
now go somewhere else and go and do something and you say it's 5 liters, you are not using
you
my
said the
idea.
first draft didn't make it.
Anyways, what me I know
She
is
said the first.
regardless of whose idea or who does not have the idea, between the employer and the employee, because claiming ownership on discarded initiatives is actually very complex. I'm going to repeat it. But one thing that is certain is that somebody is trying to think of a particular thing at this point in time or introducing something new does not mean somebody somewhere is not thinking of something similar. So in that case, I think it's going to be better for somebody to just trademark your whatever designs. So you know this is solely yours. Nobody can come and claim ownership. But in a case like this, you cannot be dealing with creatives and you expect that anything that happens, we share this one, is entirely yours.
Right.
But to be on the safer side for the creatives and the designers, I think on no account, just like Pascal said already, only if you are just restricted to the skills that you already have, you don't want to use your talent. You cannot go from one organization and do same thing for another organization. I'm not sure that should work. I'm not sure. So in this case, as much as I'm trying to think that probably the boss did not discard the ideas, I'm also thinking that the boss could be coming from the point of being jealous. And I'm not sure she has a case. I'm not sure.
I think that what would have made this situation easier or made it easy to actually talk about is if we actually know probably the full context of the story.
If we actually have it documented.
What is involved, like what is involved, not that you now say this person came to me that we should do it this way, I said I was not doing it that way,
all of those
and
ones.
it went somewhere that the person would have been right, but this I did this thing and that one I think
lots of
misunderstandings. This still falls back to
concept.
communication, documentation, and also
clarity,
talent and skills.
Yeah,
that's where it falls back to.
Okay, I think let's just give our one line advice to the anonymous.
One line advice to the anonymous. Dear anonymous staff, I'll say this to you: if there was a documentation, you don't have a case. You will lose, hopefully. But if there was no documentation to show that, this is not on their own system,
you don't have a proof.
They don't have a proof. Mind you, were not using their resources when you made it for the other people. You're good to go.
Okay, what's your advice?
I'm the one that we advise last. I'm the one. Sorry, I'll just say something. What I'm going to say is, as much as how do they call it? Till eternity. How do they call it? Intellectual property. Intellectual property theft or stuff like that will always be a case because there's always going to be different dynamics to it. Some things are going to be seen as okay, you stole it. Some things are going to be seen as you didn't steal it. I think every organization should come up with a policy, especially when you are working with creatives. It should be stated that every design you make is subject, how do they call it? Whether whatever thing the organization uses, like you can come up with different drafts, and the organization can actually select what they want to. However, every draft for every brief or whatever remains the sole property of the organization.
Can you sign such agreement?
A lot of people will sign because your head knows.
A lot of people are compelled to sign.
You wait till this one.
A lot of people are compelled to sign.
Either the organization would use it or not, either it's work for them or not, every draft belongs to the organization.
Imagine that.
That is you signing your talent away.
You're signing your talent away.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think most of them are coerced.
Imagine that. No, I don't think so. Nobody will coerce you to sign what you don't want to sign. You don't take their employment and that's it. We don't put gun on your head to sign something. Nobody's going to put a gun on your head to sign something.
No, but
I don't think you have been coerced to sign.
I'm not even sure a very
what I'm trying to say
is sign that.
Only somebody that is desperate.
I think a lot of people will sign it.
No,
people actually sign to be surrogates.
I'm not. No,
I don't have anything to do with the child's life. People actually sign
something to do with your initiative.
With your talent.
Somebody will tell you that after I pick the one I want, or after we have the ones we are working with, every other one that came with that process as a draft is still my own.
What if you take my draft and give it to somebody with skills? You take something that is off my talent and you give it to somebody with skills, and the person makes perfection to it, and you are not giving me credit because it was my idea. This is grassroots.
I get actually. I
think giving you credit. I still get my own credit. Giving you credit is how do they call it? It's not compulsory.
Because it's not compulsory because I signed to. I am paid for it.
You are being paid
for
it.
It's not compulsory.
Reverse the case. I gave you this design, you discarded it, and now you want to sue me. Why?
I'm just going to make my point. I was trying to make a point,
Right.
and I'm just going to make it. Imagine that every of the designs that you actually dropped for the organization was approved. Would you use it?
That's
or
a
was
different
it?
thing.
I think that for every brief, there's always an approach to it. For everything you get, or for everything you want to do, there's always an approach for it. See, for every one thing you think about, there are 1 million ways to do that thing that you think about. I just feel like companies should tighten their processes. Okay, for every brief, you are giving me 5 samples.
It still makes sense.
All those drafts becomes the property of my organization.
Still makes sense.
It is documented.
There is a limit.
And it's documented.
Sounded so infinite.
And
Like
it
what
was.
I'm saying, I'm trying to say have a documentation system
Yes.
in
Place.
place.
That one makes
Okay.
sense.
That's what I'm saying.
That still makes sense.
a
I agree with you.
policy.
There's a documentation
Develop
process.
a policy that makes it very clear that
It becomes a policy.
Yes.
You already know.
Yes,
You already
that
know
I'm
you
not
can't take it out.
discarding it. It doesn't mean I'm not discarding it.
Yeah.
I will use the best that suits me at that moment.
At that moment,
and
I can do whatever I want to do with others,
Yes.
but not having the like being a lord over the entirety of that person's talent. No,
Yes,
no.
yes,
Who
yes.
does that?
Because people will not even give you. Nobody will give you. How do they call
Audience
it?
to
The
hear.
top of their this thing every time. When
And
you're
it's
like
true.
that.
I mean, they do
When
not
you're
sense.
like that.
They give them
Exactly. And I'm going to still say something to the employers too. I think the manner at which we criticize or take things actually matters. If you tell this employee that, oh, this is a good design, however, it's not suited for what
this
we want to
particular
at the moment.
project.
we can consider it at
In
a later
future.
time. Not that, what's this trash that you did? If you talk like that,
Are
the
you not
person-
thinking?
Yes, the person obviously think that you discarded
Considered
their
it.
this thing because you talk whatever their work that they. I think that we can correct more emotionally intelligent. You get the drill.
Emotional
Okay.
Let's move on.
So I think this whole story is just about us emphasizing on the importance of clarity, communication, and agreement, especially when you're dealing with creatives. So Rachel and Pascal have said all of it. I mean, all of it. So the all up and down of this story is anonymous. If truly and truthfully speaking, this design you're talking about was discarded and is documented, I'm not sure your employer has a case. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm not sure your employer has a case. But also, just for us to always put ourselves in a kind of safe situation, if you're going to be designing anything for several organizations, we advise that you don't replicate, like don't do the same design just for you to ensure that you're safe. So whatever you want to do, be creative. That's why you're a creative person. So be creative, bring in different ideas, different introduce new things, develop and all of it. So you don't have people come and be chasing after you for designs. And for employers, I must say also, I think it all lies on how well you communicate your intention to these people, the approach at which you handle it. What do you want exactly? Don't leave them to actually assume in their head that, oh, this person will not need this, or this thing does not make sense, it does not like it. So that way, we can actually save ourselves from all of this stress and
back and forth.
So I think we should go to the next story.
I think on that note, because of all these anonymous people, Christiana, when are we going to law school, me and you?
No
Because
way.
we need to go and study law. On that note, we're going to go into our next story.